Isn't this the worst time in the world to be hiring influencers, or is it the best?
I mean, look, we can reach millions of people in a matter of seconds at our fingertips. So I would argue that it's the best time.
So I feel like we're kind of running into this new world where nothing is authentic, everything is soulless and empty because it's all just written by a computer.
At this point, you still need the human connection to close that deal, to nurture, to
That's where the AI, the marketing, the lead generation plays a part on the front end. So it can,
100%.
where do you see YouTube in 5 years? Is that dead? Is it all AI avatars? Is YouTube going to be like the only major streaming?
I think, YouTube will still exist. I think maybe it will change a little bit in terms of
All right, boys and girls, we've got Mr. Josh Kopac in the house, visionary founder of Be Kept Up, digital marketing agency that is putting advertisers with influencers, driving more leads. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Josh, but isn't this the worst time in the world to be hiring influencers, or is it the best?
I mean, look, we have influencers that can move markets with one tweet, one post, whatever it is. It's better than ever. I mean, look, we can reach millions of people in a matter of seconds at our fingertips. So I would argue that it's the best time.
It is pretty wild, and everything is so specialized. I was just on a call with a potential client earlier today, and I was looking at his marketing branding and selling too many things to too many different people, and that's kind of a problem. But with the internet the way it's set up now, there's influencers for every hyper niche audience in the world.
Yeah, you're entirely correct. It's funny. I just ordered a robot vacuum cleaner and mop the other day, and you'd be surprised how many YouTube influencer channels there are for, everyday dads talking about everything from kitchen appliance to robotic vacuums. So there's no shortage of niches. There's specialization, different platforms. It's really a content creator's dream right now in terms of reaching an audience and having a platform to stand on.
I mean, I guess what is the business implication of that? Is this just a big part of every e-commerce platform out there is you need to be getting your products, your services in the hands of influencers so they can talk about it and create affiliate links to drive traffic to your company? Is that the drill? Is that the opportunity?
Somewhat. I mean, but I argue that someone needs to be authentic in what they're doing. I think viewers are smart enough, or at least I believe they are, where if someone's not being authentic, they see right through it. If you're just selling something for the sake of making commission, people are going to see it. They're going to know. They're not going to feel the passion as opposed to you genuinely liking something.
To agree with that, I've actually been thinking about this a lot, Josh. AI influencers, AI blogs. I was doing some research on ChatGPT the other day, and I always ask ChatGPT for references on its work. So I just want to make sure my numbers, my stats, my data are correct. And what I noted was that a lot of the references that ChatGPT was giving me was to blogs and to websites that were completely written with ChatGPT. So I feel like we're kind of running into this new world where nothing is authentic, everything is soulless and empty because it's all just written by a computer.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you're entirely correct, but that's where, us coming together right now on this podcast and seeing eye to eye, or going out and meeting someone and having a handshake, or meeting for coffee or a lunch or a dinner, that's what's going to separate everyone else from the crowd in this day and age. Sure, you could be more productive with AI and agents and tools and you name it, but you actually sitting down and having that human connection, I think is what's going to differentiate the winners from the losers in this next upcoming chapter of internet life, however you look at it.
I'd like to think that's the case, but I'm 42. I grew up the first half of my year without the internet, second half with the internet. And I just wonder if that's maybe a feeling of nostalgia there because you can't compete with a bot that can create more bots that can DM 100 people a day on LinkedIn, email 1,000 people a day. You can't compete with that.
That's fine, but I still think at this point, you still need the human connection to close that deal, to nurture, to, account management, to really sequence them and bring them through that progression of the journey.
Yeah, and one of the things that you had been a part of is Protege before it was purchased by Great Hill Partners at over $1 billion. And from what I can tell here, looking at the data, over 4 years, you achieved 25% year-over-year growth, generating over $70 million in revenue. Those are all human sales people, correct?
Correct. That was pre-AI.
So how would you do it if you came into that company again? How would you do that? How are you using AI to generate more leads and more sales for your org?
Yeah. So, I think there's two different schools of thought. There's the let me go out and hit everyone, buckshot approach with a shotgun as opposed to a slug, and really keep it targeted and narrow. So I am of the belief that, start off and really find that buckshot approach, find, the leads to go after, and comb through individually. Look, AI still makes errors. There's some people that will be qualified, won't be qualified. But I think in this day and age, you sending that human one-to-one connection, through a message, through an email, through LinkedIn, whatever it is, you're going to be more successful as opposed to just firing off 300 and pissing off a bunch of people in the meantime. Uh, you know, from unsolicited targeted messages. And I'm guilty of clicking report spam in Gmail for a lot of these. That just they didn't take the time. You could tell right away. Oh, I see you're in Wilton, Connecticut. That's great. How do you even know about that? A lot of these seem just empty. They seem empty, and you can read right through it right away. So, my biggest piece of advice, if I had to do it again, would be, spend your time, spend your energy, spend it wisely, know what you're getting into, and build genuine human connections. I know I keep harping about that, but I think that's part of what made me so successful in driving $70 million over 4 years was taking the time, to fly across country just for a lunch and fly back, fly down to Miami for a dinner and fly back. Things like that, people don't forget. It sticks out and it shows your intention. And people get to know you on a personal level. It's funny. A lot of dinners, lunches, calls, whatever it is, it'll be 75, 80, 90% personal and 10% business. And I find that just being honest, being human, being able to relate, understanding what's going on in someone's life, you sharing as well, whether it's my family, my dog, whatever it is, it just sticks out in a different way as opposed to, being digital only.
That's fair. I do subscribe to that school of thought that people do business with people that they like. And I think, at least for me, that's where the AI, the marketing, the lead generation plays a part on the front end. So it could kind of help people self-qualify. They can say, okay, I'm hitting these metrics, I have these numbers, I'm the perfect avatar, they have a good solution. Then it's just a matter of, do I like the people that I'm working with, right?
100%. And there's other uses for AI too. I use it a lot for report sequencing and generation and trends and understanding, optimization and even content to some degree. I'm a stickler in terms of I always want to produce the content first. So I'm physically writing it, typing it first. I will clean it up, but I'm not a fan of just going out there and, write this blog post for me because a lot of the time it's just not resonating and it's missing that experiential connection.
Yeah, I agree with that, but ah, it is so easy to create content at scale with AI. It's unbelievable. And Elon Musk had a post about this, if oh, it's a few months ago, where he said a lot of these news organizations are just diary of the mouth. They just type, 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 type. And again, just in that example of doing research with ChatGPT, it's giving me a bunch of references to articles written by ChatGPT to inform ChatGPT so people can write more blog articles, and the cycle continues. But the reality is it does work, because those references are showing up in my LLM. I'm clicking on those links, I'm landing on pages, I'm going to websites. Then it's just a numbers game of conversions, traffic and conversions, right?
No, I mean you're entirely correct. It's hard to understand what wrote what at this point in time, but I mean it's powerful. Just seeing what it generates, how it generates it, and the speed. It's mind blowing. I think we're on the cusp of a huge revolution right now with internet and data and the way things are transferred and reported on, across the world.
And just the ability to customize, because when I think, we talk about the reason that influencers are powerful is because they can speak to authentically to a specific person within a specific niche with a specific problem. But to me, AI can do that even more granular because it's going to have all the data as to where you live, how you look, what your interests are. It's going to be able to perfectly craft these types of messages and marketing. A friend of mine, Travis Chambers, sold his media agency, his media marketing agency. Now he just builds these crazy hotels out in the middle of the desert, right? These experiences. And he said, marketing's dead. It's all dead. It's all going to be done for you. But I just don't, it doesn't make sense to me because there's so many small issues that pop up in marketing, in your funnels, in your tech stack. You need to have someone that can actually put it together.
I completely agree. So, for perspective, it's just me right now being kept up. So, I do leverage AI for a variety of tasks where, traditionally I have to have a staff of, I don't know, 5 to 10 people per se to cover those bases. So that's where I'm really grateful in terms of being able to be nitty gritty and, have that humility, but also be small and scrappy and get things done where some of these larger corporations will get stalled up, paper pushing or through approvals or, having to report to a board, whatever it may be. So I'm very blessed there.
Yeah, it's the lean and mean kind of battleship approach, which makes sense. That's interesting. So you're solo with AI agents and AI tools that are kind of helping to facilitate the deliverables, right? And I'm sure your white label partnerships, trusted vendors that you're working with. Kind of break this down for me. Now you've got when you say I'm a one man band, that gets my attention because that's exciting.
Yeah, definitely. So I started this company about just over 2 years ago. So actually, through a weird set of circumstances, I was at Protege at the time, got in a car accident, dealt with a TBI, traumatic brain injury, dealt with neck injury. So I had a lot of vertebrae that were screwed up, are still screwed up, is what it is. But nonetheless, God kind of had that force for me of like, okay, you need to start this, you need to leave, and this is going to be your catalyst, even if you can't see it at the time, to create this
Ugh.
company. And you know, uh, looking back, really hard. Some of my darkest days in terms of looking myself in the mirror and kind of understanding what was in store for me. But nonetheless, turned into a very successful, fruitful company. Very happy. And what we do, so we're working with a variety of people. We're working with advertisers, we're working with publishers, and we're kind of the arbitrage. So there's a few business models. The first one is we have a sales agency. So we will introduce advertiser directly to publisher. They can negotiate, we empower them. It's just them talking. The second is the inverse, which is the advertiser agency. So we'll introduce advertisers to publishers. And the third is we have the network offering, and the network offering is just playing the arbitrage game. So I have advertisers that are closed and live and won, whether it's fintech clients like SoFi or Chime or Stash or Vero, any of those guys, subscription products, mobile games, you name it. And we'll directly plug them into publishers who are going to advertise. So whether that's an in-app marketplace, whether they're doing email, whether they're doing content, whatever they're doing, we basically introduce. So to answer your question about AI agents and sort of how I'm running the business, there's different indicators and different sequences. So I have everything from lead generation that's produced through AI to some outbound sales, outbound cold sales outreach. Also, CRM is plugged into AI. There's AI agents in terms of some account management, as well as reporting generation, finance. Constantly, you know, double checking where I do have some contractors working through AI. So, I think that's another powerful use of even my bookkeeping team. Okay, here's what they're doing. Is that accurate? Do you find any issues? So, I think in terms of auditing and looking under a microscope, not just with finances, but processes, procedures, it's really powerful.
Powerful is definitely a word for it. AI for lead generation. Talk to me about that. Are you using it to like send out custom DMs based on the avatar you're speaking to or the exact person? Are you using it for custom email, custom landing pages, GPTs? How are you using AI for lead gen?
It's more chat so far, and I'm in the early stages of it. So LinkedIn has been my uh, biggest, I'd say, outbound and also inbound uh, lead generation tool. I mean, you have
Ugh.
professionals across the globe that you can reach and get in their DMs very easily. So when I'm getting messages, I'm having things auto reply, fooling around with different voices as well. And it's early, but there's going to be some outbound as well in terms of LinkedIn and reaching out to people, getting in you know comments and getting visibility and impressions through comments, as well as outbound messages.
I'm going to ask you a question about LinkedIn because LinkedIn has actually become probably my least favorite platform because every single person, every single connection request, "Mark, nice to meet you. Here's a wall of spam plus a link to book a time."
Yeah.
What is going on with LinkedIn, bro? It's just all spam and links. What is going on, man? Can't we get a legit you talk about authentic relationships. I don't see it happening on LinkedIn. Maybe I'm doing it wrong, but all I get are links with spam and appointments. Why?
Or, hey, Joshua, nice to meet you. Why is it nice to meet me? I'm sorry. I'm going to call your bluff right away. a lot of people I end up just not accepting as well. I sort of police it for that exact reason. A lot of people in Indonesia, India, whatever it is, trying to connect for whatever reason, whether it's joining the affiliate network or connect. And for me, I want to make sure that we're seeing eye to eye with who I'm connecting to. And it's actually, you know, qualified. So I'm notorious for either leaving it pending or clicking no for a lot of it and really just keeping it as a sort of walled garden, if you would.
Well, maybe I need to be saying no more often because it's at this point, I feel like LinkedIn messaging is unusable for me. It's just so much to go through. And I put off actually accepting connection requests. I probably have 150 or 200 connection requests in there because I'm like, I have to go through it. I'm gonna have to deal with all these AI bots trying to sell me on appointments or getting virtual coffees, whatever. But I don't know. I still don't seeing as being super to me, and you might disagree, Josh. You've been in this industry for nearly 2 decades. I see one of the biggest opportunities in LLM SEO showing up when someone goes to ChatGPT or to Claude or to Grok. They have a problem that they want solved. They type it in, and then your solution pops up. On a scale from 1 to 10, how important do you think this is for businesses right now?
I think right now it's probably a 7 or 8. I think it's gonna be a 10 very shortly. I think search engines are either going to die or they're gonna have to reinvent themselves with the integration of AI. I mean, you look at Google, what's at the top of Google right now when you're doing a Google search? Oh, it's an AI search result. So it's already shaping markets. It's already shaping behaviors. It's shaping the way we're acting, and it's gonna shape the way that we're doing research and going about our day to day. So I think anyone who's doing optimization, or LLM for AI in general, I think you're on the cusp of something very large, especially when it comes to the SEO game and Google constantly changing their algorithms. I think this is the next frontier.
Yeah, I'm certainly I'm looking at it very closely. And just some numbers here. Google right now is doing 13.7 billion searches daily. YouTube is at 3.5 billion searches daily. So those are still number 1 and 2, but the trend is already happening. We can already see it happening. And I think this is kind of where part of the problem lies. Is I've been researching how do I show up in LLM search, and a lot of it has to be writing or creating content that is very specific to a specific person, right? As specific as possible. And that's hard to do when you're sitting down to create content, to write a blog, to write a Substack, to record a YouTube video. But with AI, you can easily just change the intros very, very quickly. It's multimodal, meaning these LLMs are going to see images, video, they can hear audio, transcriptions. So I think I'm actually curious. What do you are you buying or selling on YouTube right now? Obviously, I have a YouTube agency and I help business owners optimize YouTube to generate leads. But I'm curious, where do you see YouTube in 5 years? Is that dead? Is it all AI avatars? Is YouTube going to be like the only major streaming platform? Where do you see YouTube in 5 years?
I wish I could predict accurately. My gut is saying that people are gonna still crave content. Obviously, you have the AI generation of content and video, which is pretty mind-blowing. I have a buddy who owns a virtual effects agency, out in Hollywood, and, he's working for, a lot of the major producers out there, and, he's worried as well. He's worried of, "Will I have this business for my family and I just 2 years from now, let alone 5?" So I think, YouTube will still exist. I think maybe it will change a little bit in terms of how they're showing content or how they're, really what their mainstay is of how they're visualizing the content. Is it going to turn into a more social platform? Um, I don't know. It will obviously be around. It's one of the largest. I don't think they're going to do a AOL and sort of disappear through the cracks. But I think just the relationship to it that we have right now is going to change, and their business model is going to continue to evolve as they have over the years.
Yeah, I mean everything is up for grabs right now, and it makes me nervous. I was listening to Diary of a CEO with Stephen Bartlett the other day, and he had some tech founders on, AI founders. Brett Weinstein was on there, and they're basically saying that like all the jobs are gone. They're kind of like all the jobs are gone, but you're going to be happy. Everything's going to be more efficient, and that kind of worries me because I do feel that humans we need to feel a purpose. You're out there in the woods right now. You got the green trees, the blue skies. Like I think that that's good for the soul, but I also feel like on the flip side, I think people. I predict that the internet is going to continue going to crap. I think 14% of internet websites have porn on them at this point. 14%, big number.
That's wild.
Isn't that a wild stat? My concern in the marketing world, and as I see these people going so fast, all gas, no brakes, especially in marketing, creating all this content at scale, is that there's just no way to validate that that data is correct. And I feel like a lot of people are just going to push so far and put out bad information, and it's gonna bite them on what I would agree with you is the most important thing, which is the relationship with the person.
No, and I'd argue this. Okay, so even pre-AI, you have all these sites out there that are ranking top products, top 5, top 10, whatever it is. Are those authentic? Are there sponsorship dollars behind them? Are they paying for ranking? All the things that users aren't, privy to in terms of marketing. But I'd argue that there's a lot of deals going on behind the scenes that no one knows about. Sure, they have their FTC disclosure, but is that authentic content? Is that really the number one product? Yeah, I think, I think if anything, I think AI is going to shine light on a lot of things as well, where it's easier to call BS. It's easier to say that was generated through this or that's not accurate. Here's why. So I'm hoping that people's filter and bullshit detector is a little bit more on point through AI. That's my ultimate hope.
Well, I think it is. Even my grandma now is like, I don't know if that's right. She's 90, so she's caught on. But it's definitely going to be a wild, wild world. Okay, final question here for you, Josh. If you were going to make an affiliate deal with a very big influencer or a small influencer, how would you make that decision?
You got to stick to your guns. I think a lot of the time, and people won't like this, but it is what it is. A lot of the influencers out there, they're used to getting wooed. They're used to constant yeses. They're used to getting their way. But you need to see the value from the brand perspective and the publisher perspective. And if it doesn't fit within that lens in terms of being a good deal, why are you operating in that way? So, if you're a content creator and an influencer, know your audience. Be able to speak to the engagement of what they're actually doing rather than, hey, I just want sponsorship deals. I think that's the largest thing that I run into is, I need $10,000 of a sponsorship deal. I need $25,000 of a sponsorship deal. Okay, but what is the brand getting? Sure, there's the visibility. Are they getting engagement? Are you creating trust? Are you actually driving users? Or is it just you're taking sponsorship deals because your retention and your engagement sucks and you're not doing anything? So, that would be my big question is really, and statement is really to understand the metrics of what the audience is providing, why you want to link up, what the price point is, and really breaking down the economics. 'Cause I think we can get too blind just looking at, oh, they have 700,000
Yeah.
followers, but how many of those are actually real people? Number one, how many are actually, subscribed for a reason that they're genuinely interested? How many people are actually clicking the link or want to engage with that product? So I just really dive into the details would be my biggest piece of advice. And, if you're a content creator and you're dealing with an advertiser, understand what they're looking for. If it's a bank, are they looking for direct depositors? Are they looking for account opens? Are they looking for a certain net worth? Really ask the questions so you can stand out on top and you can ultimately be kept up.
Great advice. And I will say on top of that, just to reiterate, there's so many fake followers out there that you cannot go off a follower count. You cannot go off of download count. A few years ago, I hired a quote unquote podcast promoter to promote my podcast. And after 3 days, I had 1 million downloads. I was like, who are these? Well, that's impossible. I paid you $200. I got 1 million downloads. Something's not right here, buddy.
Yeah, vanity metrics are real. Look, I've seen them even with top fintechs approaching VCs to get their seed round, their Series A, their Series B, whatever it is. Vanity metrics are vanity metrics, but I think it takes a special person like yourself to really ask those questions and dive in and understand what they mean rather than just the glitter.
For me, it's working within character, being a man of character, but also, looking for conversions, tracking the conversions. If I'm going to charge someone for an ad for a slot, I want to have conversion. That'd be my piece of advice to any influencer out there is if you're selling influencers, if you're selling ads, have some sort of way of tracking conversions. It's important not just for the people that you're selling to, but it's important for you so you can continue to refine what you're doing.
Completely agree.
Boom. Josh, thanks for joining the show here today. Really appreciate you dropping bombs. Where's the best place for us to find you?
Yeah, so you can find me. LinkedIn is my favorite, Joshua Kopac, or visit my website, bekeptup.com. Happy to answer any questions you may have about affiliate marketing and help offer as much as I can to help boost you.
Appreciate you, Josh. Have a blessed day.
Thank you, Mark.